early voting begins on Saturday, October 25th, and with Election Day not far behind on Tuesday, November 4th, you should make sure to check out the exact times your voting booths will be open. It's all on the Board of Elections website. Now, while the race for mayor is top of mind for most voters, there are other key races that will be on your ballot. Last week, we brought you a conversation between some of the candidates for public advocate. Tonight, we were set to hold a debate for city controller. It was set up under guidelines determined by the city's campaign finance board months ago. However, not enough candidates met those requirements to hold an official debate. Instead, New York One invited all of the candidates this evening to a conversation about their campaigns. The Democratic nominee for city controller, Levine, declined to participate, but the two other candidates on the ballot are here tonight to discuss the key issues that are top of mind for voters. Peter Kefalas is the Republican nominee for city controller. Ismael Malavé Pérez is running as an independent candidate on the Unity Party line. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Let's talk a little bit broadly, I guess, as one of the only three citywide elected officials. The controller is expected to be a check on the mayor. That's really kind of written into the powers as described in the city charter. If you had been in office over the last 4 years, how would you have stood up to a policy or an action by Mayor Adams that you disagreed with?
Great question, and thank you for having me. I would basically, the first thing is no bid contracts, no more. Because he likes to say, and there's other mayors who've done it, it's an emergency. It's an emergency. We have a lot of emergencies here in New York, but when you put a no bid contract, you're not going through the bidding process where, 5 or 6, 10 companies, depending on the project, get to put their qualifications, their capacities, and what they'll do the project for. So they might give it to you, but I would have done it for 20 million less or 200 million, depending on the project. So the first thing is no more no bid contracts. And I would say more investigation into all city contracts has to be done because we know there's a lot of fraud, waste, and incompetence, and it's all troubling.
Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me also. One of the things that I would do is utilize the charter mandate behind the comptroller's office. I would utilize the budget unit and the audit unit to make sure that we identify any waste. One of the things that I would do is utilize the Corporation Counsel and the powers behind the Comptroller's office. There is a legal unit in the Comptroller's office, and I would utilize the staff to identify a real solution to the problem and present it to the city council in order to stop the mayor from...
So if you'd had those powers over the last 4 years, is there something where you would have taken action if you had been the controller?
Well, there's a couple of issues that, yes, I would have taken action. Some of the spending that was rampant behind COVID, I would have put together a team of individuals to monitor the expenses that were going on in the city government. Mm-hmm. Also, what's happened here with the migrant situation. It's basically like giving the comptroller a blank checkbook. Like my colleague said here, no bid contracts is basically giving the authority to the mayor and like giving them a blank checkbook.
Let me move to a different power. The controller is required under the charter to audit every city agency over the course of 4 years. If elected, what agency would you look at? In other words, where do you think there might be some fiscal or performance issues that you would look into as controller?
Well, the Board of Education. I'd start there. The Board of Education is well over $38 to $36 billion allocated in this budget. It's close to half of the budget if you look at it, and there's mismanagement that goes on. And I would make sure that the monies that we identify, any mismanagement is fixed, bottom line. One of the things that I want to bring to the city is full transparency. So I have a monetary applications portal that I want to implement at the citywide level so that all of the agencies are required to report in real time utilizing an AI digital twin so that we can see something that's blocked by blockchain, and you can't fudge that. And that's one of the things that I want to bring to forth.
Okay.
So I think the biggest problem is for going back at least the last 12 years, the city's been run poorly. And I feel that those who are in government own it. And to answer your question directly, I made 2 promises on the campaign trail. I'm on record for saying it. The first audit I will do is not necessarily an agency, but it's former First Lady Charlene McRae and former Mayor Bill de Blasio, Mental Thrive. That was over $1 billion spent to a woman who unfortunately does not have any qualifications for mental health or any kind of medical degree like that. And we're seeing more and more mentally ill people who are quite dangerous, unfortunately, on the subways, as we just saw on the way here, my team and I, and outside in the streets everywhere, especially here in Manhattan and even in the outer boroughs. Secondly, NYCHA. I visited one of my colleagues who's running in the Bronx, Tyreek Goodman, his personal unit up in the Bronx. It's disgusting. He's got a little girl. His second bedroom has mold and asbestos on the floor. He can't get results. Rats everywhere, holes in the ceiling. I mean, it's disgusting. Needles outside of where they used to have training centers for people to learn computer skills and whatnot, and daycares. Those are closed down. All the needles are there. And the parks, there weren't any kids shooting hoops because the homeless people have taken it over. So NYCHA is a bloated, overstaffed agency, and we've seen the corruption. The last case was, 50 people pay to play. Those are the first two steps I make, and then I do what comptrollers in modern time haven't done. Every city agency gets audited. Every city contract gets audited. That's what's lacking here.
Okay. I want to talk about the investment side of the office for a minute. Recent controllers have been actively, or I should say activist investors on climate, on other issues. Do you intend to keep leading those kind of activist strategies? What policies would you either continue or maybe change compared to where we are now as a city?
So I will be the prudent investor to make sure that I safeguard those pension systems. I want to take or remove the politics out of managing people's money. I want to lean heavy on the team. I have advisors that are coming in with me. I've worked in the Bureau of Asset Management. I understand the processes. I'll work with the board to make sure that we don't make, that we make really wise decisions, in other words. Some of my opponents were talking about divesting from fossil fuels or divesting from corporations like Tesla. I think that those decisions were not backed by financial analysis, and so it has to make sense. Yes, sometimes you find bad actors, and that's why there are mechanisms in place to protect the pensioners.
Well, let me ask you this. You can be an activist investor without divesting, meaning your shares give you a chance to introduce different resolutions.
Precisely.
To push that corporation in the direction of fighting climate change.
Exactly.
And so forth.
So if you divest from, like, let's say Tesla, then you have no say, right? You have no say at the board level.
But you would want to keep the shares in order to have a discussion with management.
Say. Exactly.
Okay. And how about you?
So as the son of a retired school teacher, public school teacher, we gave our life to my community for 31 years. I know how important it is for the police, the firemen, the teachers, the MTA folks who have a pension, and they deserve to get their pension. But there's been a lot of talk lately in recent times about we'll take some of this money here and we'll put it here and we'll bring it back here, or there's a hole in this part of the city, we'll cover it there. I made a pledge not to do that. That's not fair. But as far as divesting from things like that, I'm not 100% sold in this whole new green stuff because it's putting people out of business. It's going to decimate the city. The governor wants to get rid of cars, only electric. Nobody wants them. You can see they're sitting in all these dealers. They're cutting the factories, Ford, Chevy, et cetera, et cetera. So in terms of what you said, we don't want to invest or divest for our politics. And also, I made a pledge to reinvest in Israel because 5% return every year is not a bad return on your investment. If you get an ROI for your MTA, your police, or your fire people, 5% is a respectable return. So I've made a pledge to reinvest in that nation. And as long as you're not on a narco-terrorist or a terrorist country, we should look into any country where, as long as they're not hurting our people or threatening us in some capacity, we should have an open eyes and look into those countries and invest.
Let's say a word more about Israel bonds. I think the amount the city's pension funds have invested has dwindled down to about $1 billion, and the current controller, Brad Lander, said that was in order to send a signal that the actions of the Netanyahu government were not acceptable. In other words, a different form of activist intervention, the same way you would with, say, with a corporation. Is that something you would consider, or are you just saying this is just a straight return from a sovereign nation, and that's all that matters?
I wouldn't play politics with it, but they're a friendly nation with us. We have a good relationship. Share intelligence, and obviously they're a very smart country for a small country that has a lot of innovative technologies, chemicals technology, so on and so on. If we have 5%, why play politics? They're not an enemy nation of us. It's not like they're Iran or some other adversary that's threatening us. So I think that's a foolish thing to do, and it's really insulting to a lot of people.
Yeah, I would definitely reinvest in Israel bonds. It's the ROI is good for the city. It's good for the pensioners. And at the end of the day, I would utilize the corporate governance structure. If there are bad actors, then that's a different story. But I would lean heavy on the team to make sure that if the bond is performing well, why not?
Before we take a break, I wanted to ask you about public safety. The New York City has paid over $750 million in settlements for police misconduct over a 7-year period. That includes over $205 million paid out last year alone. It's the highest annual payout in many years, according to the Legal Aid Society. The current comptroller wants to make every city agency financially liable for their own lawsuit payouts. The city's hospitals already do that. How would you handle that? Is that something you would want to get a handle on? Would you want the NYPD to take some kind of fiscal responsibility for those settlements?
No, I think that the city has a good structure for settling agency lawsuits. And as somebody who's the blue candidate running for city controller, I would make sure that the city police officers get enough training so the lawsuits and things of that nature do not occur. At the end of the day, I think prevention and trying to avoid being sued is the best way to go. At the end of the day, the structure's there. We have a whole entire department and the legal unit inside the comptroller's office. I have firsthand experience having worked with individuals and receiving advice from somebody who used to be chief counsel to the comptroller under the John Liu administration. I think it's a system that works, and the agencies should. I mean, every agency has a corporation counsel, so I think it's a system is working right now.
So my answer would be this. I think it should stay the same way it is, but when you have going from de Blasio to Adams to right now, the comptroller is settling them out. So it's almost if you know you go into Walmart and slip, you're going to get an easy 250, 150, whatever it is. And we see those videos on YouTube encouraging people, telling people how to stage an accident. If people know they can create a lawsuit and the comptroller is just going to cut a check, you're just inviting more fraud, and it's hurting us here as taxpayers. So I don't say the system, the way it's structured is. The problem of the people who have been running this city, where it's just our money. So it's a blank check, it's a debit card they're swiping. Who cares? At the end of the day, they're getting benefits, they're getting a salary we're paying for. So they don't take our money, they're not taking our money seriously. It's almost like a joke. So my problem would be, it's not so much that the structure of how we litigate and settle out is broken. The people who've been running the comptroller's office since de Blasio at least, they're the problem.
So in this case, how would you change the policies? So
I wouldn't say that each uniformed agency like the fire department, the police, has to fend for themselves, right? But look, obviously, no matter what line of work, city workers or not, there's bad chefs, there's bad pilots, there's bad cops, right? But the majority of city workers, I believe, are good people, and accidents happen, things happen. But when you have people who know they're going to get an easy payout and they'll start a confrontation with a cop, throw themselves in front of something, fall on a city property, and they know, hey, the current comptroller is going to settle out, you're encouraging this madness, and that's putting us in further financial hole, and that's what I'm against. It's setting the tone.
So the city has a mechanism to assure that these settlements are fought, right? So when we get sued, I served as an expert witness on behalf of the Economic Development Corporation. The city staffers are wonderful. New York City employees are the backbone to this city, the city that never sleeps. And I went to bat on behalf of the city because of my ability to communicate to a jury of our peers and fight against somebody who was negligent and suing the city. We won our case. And the settlement was $0 when we were found at fault. And so as an expert witness, I think that the city needs to utilize its staffers. I was utilized by DCAS, approved by my commissioner to go and represent Corporation Counsel on behalf of Economic Development Corporation, and approved by a New York State Supreme Court justice to serve as an expert witness. I think we need to do more of that. I think we need to lean on our subject matter experts and fight some of these lawsuits.
Okay, stand by, gentlemen. We are going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We will continue this conversation with the candidates running for city controller after a short break. Stay with us. We are back inside City Hall, and I'm once again joined by two of the candidates running for the job of City Comptroller, Republican Peter Kefalas and Independent Ismael Malavé Pérez. Gentlemen, let's do a little lightning round here. A lot of my viewers are not familiar with you. They'd like to know a little bit more about you. Have you ever ridden in a self-driving car?
No, I never have.
And you?
Never. I like to drive.
There you go. Who are you voting for in the mayoral election? Who are you supporting?
My running mate, Curtis Lewa, 200%.
Okay.
I haven't picked a candidate, but all parties are welcome under my tent when I audit them.
Okay. Do you rent or own?
I own my own home in Morris Park of the Bronx.
I own my own home in Rego Park, born and raised.
Okay. Mr. Kefalas, have you ever had a check bounce?
Yeah.
And you?
No.
Okay, good for you.
I've had a lot stolen too in the mail.
What was the last sporting event that you attended?
A Yankee game.
Okay.
Football game in Brazil.
Oh, ooh, fancy. You mean real football?
Yeah, we call it soccer.
Yeah. In Maracanã, the big stadium?
I've been there, but more in the Nordeste Ceará.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
When's the last time you were in a casino and did you win?
Last time I was in a casino, I want to say Kiss concert, Mohegan Sun, or Black Sabbath, Mohegan Sun. Did I win? I should have walked away. I would have won, and no, I didn't.
Well, if you saw Kiss, you were a winner. Right?
At Somos a Futuro, which I'm going to be attending last year, and at El San Juan Hotel, and I did not win.
Okay, sadly. Have you ever bought anything at one of the city's legal marijuana dispensaries?
Never did.
Mr. Kefalas?
No.
Okay. Do you cook? And if so, what's your favorite dish?
I love to cook chicken stew with rice and beans.
Okay.
I do everything in the house except cook. I'm married to a Brazilian who cooks great, so I'm
there you
blessed
go.
in that regard. I just eat.
Okay. Despite changes in technology, do you still have a Metro card in your wallet?
I don't.
Okay.
I do. It's actually called an Omni card.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Fair enough. Have you ever bought crypto?
Yes, I have.
Should New York invest pension funds in crypto?
Absolutely. So I have a monetary applications portal idea. It's going to be backed off of blockchain.
I've bought plenty of crypto, various things. Should we invest? Yes, but I don't want the city jumping head first. I think moderately.
Okay. Do you support congestion pricing in its current form?
No way.
I don't.
No. Okay. All right. Let's get back into some of what's going on here. I want to go back to casinos. Do you support, what do you think about them? Do they provide economic benefits to the city? We're down to 3 applicants for 3, up to 3 approved sites. And what about the social cost?
So I'm going to speak in general, but in particular about the one close to my house and where Citi Field is located. Having John Liu designate parkland, that's the asphalt parking lot, and say it's not parkland now to get the casino there, I think that's a dirty deed to be done. I'm not for it. You're in an area of Roosevelt Avenue that is under siege right now from transnational gangs, prostitution. You can buy men, women, children, passports, green cards, driver's license, right under the 7 train if you have enough cash, firearms, narcotics. As a matter of fact, I'll be there Sunday, as I am very often, working with mostly Democrats, protesting the conditions there. So I feel that casino there is going to exasperate that particular community. And just because you put a park or quote unquote some affordable housing that never comes to fruition, I think it's not good. I'd rather see a hospital, I'd rather see a school, or something that would benefit the kids to keep them off the street.
Okay.
I agree that we need to monitor what's going on at Roosevelt. I've participated in the protest, and I have to commend Hiram Montserrat, former councilman, who is out there fighting hard along with the community at large. But as it relates to the casinos, first of all, any development, I'm going to make sure that the prevailing wage is upheld. So any of the developers involved, I'm going to be monitoring any of the money that they received from the city for the projects. So that's firsthand as the comptroller to make sure that the labor gets their fair share. Aside from that, there has to be a really good community benefits partnership. At the end of the day, New York City needs to take care of its own. It has to have a good portion of the folks that go there to work come from the community. It has to be a trickle-down effect into the community that is in the benefit, economically speaking, of the folks that are around the area. And the area needs to be upheld. More policing, more monitoring what's going on. I know that there's 2 casinos that were accepted, the one in the Bronx. There's not too many people that go out there golfing. So, I mean, the benefit of that, having people come and visit the Bronx, is going to be good for the economy, as long as it doesn't affect the residential areas. And the one in Queens, like I said, more policing in the area, making sure that the area is clean and that the community at large gets some sort of a shared space.
Okay, I want to ask both of you about something that has bedeviled the city for generations at this point. Efforts to reform property tax assessments have dragged on and on and on with no progress. Rental housing pays some of the highest taxes, homeowners the lowest. We all know that, we're all homeowners. Communities of color tending to pay more. Talk about fairness and what you would do as controller on property taxes. What should be the goal there?
So the goal should always be to lower it. Since I've had my property, and I remember the first time I heard our former mayor de Blasio say, come here, free illegal aliens want free health care. The next day I got one of those nice black and white letters, congratulations. And it's no joke, the next day I got that. Yeah. And I've seen it happen under Mayor Adams, to be fair.
So explain the letter for those who don't know.
So the letter basically,
congratulations, your house is worth more.
Congratulations.
Tax bill to follow.
Your house is worth more, and congratulations, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So, you're going to be paying more. So, it looks sexy when you say, oh, wow, but it's not. It's basically a bad letter saying you're going to be paying more. I live in a small, attached one-family house. I don't live in a mansion by any means. Nice community, but I'm paying too much taxes. My neighbors are paying too much taxes. So what do? We have to start spending the money wisely, and this goes back to the people who've been in power at least for the last 12 years. They're reckless with our money. They're spending it on the wrong people. I'm not for subsidizing illegal aliens, and I'm not for subsidizing transnational gangs. That's a no-no. Five-star hotels like the Roosevelt, how much money have we bled out? And I really honestly believe that when we do see the real numbers that this and the previous administration spent on everything, our eyes are going to pop out of our head, because if they say it's that much, we damn well know in New York, it's a New York lie, it's going to be 10 times more. So we have to find money in other places and stop spending and wasting money. Because remember, when the city and the state going broke, which they are, we're heading off a fiscal cliff, what's the first thing they do? Oh, you have a lovely house. You get one of those black and white letters. Yeah. And also a big problem we have coming up that's going to affect colored people, like you said, minorities, the city of yes. It's going to decimate every neighborhood, but it's going to have an effect on those communities because those real estate developers are going to go in there and buy that property cheaper than they would, say, in a nicer area or a more upscale area, and they're going to push those poor people out. And where do they go?
So it's all about the key factor here, affordability, right? Where homeowners are being driven away from their own neighborhoods because the taxes keep going up, but then the services are being cut. So as the controller, I'm going to make sure that I identify cost-saving measures to keep taxes down. Yes, we want to bring the taxes down. We don't want them to necessarily go up, right? But New York City's main source of income is taxes. Real estate taxes are how we fund the general budget. So it's $115.9 billion. And the state comptroller's office is already saying that there's a budget gap, and they're calling it $122 billion. So the only way to do it is to make sure that we try to keep the taxes down on property value. The property value is good that it goes up, but that doesn't mean you should raise the taxes on the individuals that own the homes. So as controller, my monetary applications portal will allow, it's going to be the city's financial map, right? So all things financial will be identified in the map. The monetary applications portal, we could track how Wall Street data performance is doing, if we're making good on that side of town, how real estate taxes are doing. And so we could keep costs down by identifying in real time where agency spending is and making sure that we save those funds so that we don't raise taxes.
Okay, let me ask a different but related housing question. Should the city's pension funds expand their investments in affordable housing? And how would you define affordable, of the kind that pensions should be investing in, while also, of course, getting safe and, if possible, maximized returns for the retirees?
So real estate investments are always risky, right? And so we already have mechanisms in place. You just talked about the city of yes. That's an affordable housing mechanism, right, for building more housing. So the governor put $2 billion, the mayor put $1 billion, and there's a difference. There was a $5 billion agreement for the city of yes. Where's that money going to come from? The taxpayer. So the city has mechanism. We already have the HPD. We have HUD, and we have economically targeted investments at the city controller's office through the pension systems. And so I would use the tools at hand. Why risk the pensioners' money? Affordable to who? And are we going to guarantee employees that own those pension systems? They put their sweat and tears into earning a pension. Why would we risk their money in a risky portfolio called affordable housing? And by the way, I was an investment financial analyst in the Bureau of Asset Management in the Real Estate Bureau, and I managed close to $2 billion in the real estate portfolio. So I know firsthand how it works. And so no, I would not want to risk per se, investments all in affordable housing, because it's affordable to who? And where's the money going to come from? From the pension systems? Come on.
No, absolutely not. And considering that most, if not all, of those people you're talking about, the investors, are donors who've donated to de Blasio and Adams. And it's risky. We have an exodus of people leaving. It's not sustainable. Who's going to fit into those apartments? Who's going to be able to afford them? What's affordable? A $5,000 a month studio because you have a gym? I mean, it's insanity. So no, we have to stop that, and we have to stop the city of yes, or everybody else will be moving out of Florida, and there'll be nobody left but the super poor and the super rich.
So I would make sure that the City of Yes is a program that actually works. Rather than going blind and giving them a blank check to build, there was a affordable housing project that just, or platform that just created in the Bronx. And one of my opponents is proposing a $2.5 billion for affordable housing. And if you think about the average cost of building an affordable unit is like $150,000 to $650,000. There's no way that you could make. First of all, it takes 10 years to complete an affordable housing development project. And so they're playing with numbers that don't make sense. I want to analyze these numbers. So City of Yes needs to be analyzed.
City of Yes needs to be killed. I mean, it's a destructive program. It's the last bad surprise in the bag, as well as the back of the ballot coming up that Mayor Adams left us. But look at New York over here. This is a ghost town compared to what it was pre-COVID. We know these office buildings are not going to have office people come back. We live in a hybrid or a remote setting for a lot of people. So why not take those buildings and make those into affordable housing or some kind of housing, because they're already there. The landlords aren't doing anything with them except getting a tax break. Might as well retrofit them and put some people there.
And you got NYCHA. NYCHA is an affordable housing development corporation, right? So Section 9. NYCHA is important to the city, and it's one of the biggest affordable housing complexes across the country.
All right, gentlemen, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so I'll ask you to do something that candidates are very good at as we come down the closing home stretch of a campaign, which is look in that camera right there and tell the voters why they should vote for you, Mr. Kefalas.
So I'm just a regular citizen. I'm not a politician. That word makes me cringe. I'm a small business owner. I've run a lot of multinational, national, international companies. I've created thousands of jobs, not just here, but abroad, throughout Asia, Latin America, et cetera. The people that have been in power are the reason that we're in the situation. They own this mess. Defunding the police. How stupid was that? If you don't have any security and safety in the city, who's going to come to the principal section of New York, Manhattan, the borough, the island of Manhattan, and invest? Whether you're an American or you're someone international. Who's going to come here and buy expensive co-ops and buy these mansions and stuff like that? Nobody. So the stupidest thing we did was defund the police. They're leaving in exodus. The city's not safe. It's a third world hellhole many times, many places over. Our women, our kids aren't safe. And I pledge to fund the police, hire 7,000, 10,000 cops, work with the future Mayor Curtis Leibel to do that. And we have to start being pragmatic. You don't just say, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, and fight with people for stupid things. You defund the police, you destroyed the city, and you have to start respecting the people's money, and you have to start respecting what you do with it. It's not a political grab bag. You do the right thing for the people. And since de Blasio, for at least 12 years, this city's been getting destroyed, and the citizens are leaving because of that.
Okay. Mr. Malavé Pérez, look into camera 9. You've got 60 seconds. Tell the voters what you want them to know.
Well, I want to thank New York One Spectrum News for having me here, Earl. Thank you so much. My name is Ismael Malavé. Yo soy el candidato del pueblo. Come out and vote for somebody who's worked for 5 comptrollers. 16 years under my belt. I've implemented computerized maintenance management systems. My monetary applications portal, the city's all things financial map, is part of my vision to help New Yorkers understand in real time, utilizing an AI digital twin so you could see where the city's money is going. I'm a proud union member of SEIU Local 300. A shout out to my friends in the union. Thank you for having me here. I'm so honored to be a real New Yorker. I am the poster child for the Board of Education, a CUNY twofer. I have an MBA from the Zicklin School of Business at Baruch College, an economics degree from Lehman College. I want to make all New Yorkers proud. I want to make my mother proud, my children proud, and I believe I am your best alternative to solving New York City's financial woes. I'm going to make sure that New York City's Financial Emergency Act is permanent. And I'm going to safeguard our bonds. I'm going to safeguard your pension systems because I understand it. 27 years as a public servant, a former Boy Scout, running for citywide office, a Bronx kid, and I love New York City, and you are my biggest asset. Thank you to the people who voted for me, and I hope you come out October 25th through November 4th. Early voting, come out and vote for the most qualified candidate running for New York City Comptroller, Ismael Malavé Pérez Jr. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Best of luck. We'll see you out on the campaign trail.